Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'm letting my friend Eric Wolff take the reins and he's gonna lead us through some stuff. If there were degrees for movement, this man would have a PhD. So take it away, Eric. What exactly are we working on today?
So today what we're gonna do, we're kind of going through my typical parkour warm-up, stretch, conditioning routine that I'll do at the beginning of a training session that I go on.
Sounds good. Let's get started.
Cool, let's do it. So this being my typical parkour warm-up, I like to start just by rotating my joints, getting everything loosened up, and then moving into some stretches from there. I start all the way out, we start at the fingers, and I like to just go through and do it manually. Just kind of rotate every single finger, kind of work all the joints out a little bit, move into the next one, all the way through the hand, just trying to get everything nice and loose, because when I'm out doing parkour, I'm trying to use my entire body as much as possible.
Oh yeah.
And once you get through your fingers, it can help to kind of stretch out your palm as well to the rest of your hand, just flex everything up. And then you can move down to the wrist and start rotating that as well. Get a little bit of a stretch in also. Press it in one direction, hold it for a moment. Flex it back the other way as well too. And then from there, just keep working down the chain, get to the elbow, give that a nice rotation one direction.
Do you relax the hand or flex the forearm?
I typically will try and relax everything. I want everything just as loose as possible. Take it back the other direction as well. And then onto the shoulder. There's a couple ways I like to do this, of course. You can just rotate the arm. Just nice, big circles. And then back the other direction as well. And then you can just isolate the shoulder too without the big arm circles and just rotate that joint. The other direction. And then we'll move on to the other side.
Light as air, strong as steel.
All right, so once you finish working your way through your rotation of your joints and things along the arms, then you can stretch out your shoulders a little bit as well too. So I like to reach out and just kind of grab the elbow, hold my shoulder and everything across my chest. Get a nice hold in. I'll typically do this for about 10 seconds or so. I'll kind of bring it up above my head as well too. Grab that elbow. And once I get those 10 in, I like to stretch behind the back as well too. Bring my knees in. If you grab a finger, it's kind of helpful and stretch that out more. It definitely can help.
One flexibility thing I've never had trouble with.
Yeah? So I'm pretty good on one side, but when I switch to the other side, sometimes I have a difficult time getting my finger there. When I was younger, I had an injury in gymnastics that messed up my shoulder. And it's always kind of lagged behind because of that.
Gymnastics can be rough on the shoulders.
Oh yeah. both sides as well. If you can't reach that finger, you can just kind of reach back and grab your arm. Kind of help lift that way as well too.
Yeah, this side's harder for me.
Alright, shake it all out.
Now, leg things.
Leg things. Alright, so now that we've made our way through our arms, we're going to move down to our waist and then down to our legs. With that, I like to just start with some nice big like hip circles. Try and get full extension, stretch everything out nice and slow.
I always feel some popping.
Yep. Oh, especially on the outer ones. And of course, take it back the other direction as well.
You'll probably want to spend longer on this than we're spending.
Yeah,
we're just doing things a little short for the video so y'all can absorb everything.
Alright, once you get those hip circles, I like to go and then kind of isolate the upper body and rotate that around that same like hip axis so you can really fully stretch out the chest. Kind of get some of that back in there as well too.
So you're kind of extending your vertebrae too?
Yes, yep. Extend the vertebrae, stretch out the stomach, the chest.
From what I've been training, spinal mobility has been the best addition to
It's so important.
movement.
Yeah. It'll keep you flexible, keep you young, keep you moving. Hey, I'm old.
I'm trying to do it off. I'm doing it off camera. I feel my chest. I'm going like,
Stretch
oh.
it out. All right. Now, after the hip circles, I like to move on to the legs and kind of isolate the hip joints that way and get some circles in. Zoom to the outside, and then you can reverse it, bring it back inside as well. Don't worry if you need to put a foot down to balance yourself. All that matters is just getting the rotations in.
If you fall, you fail.
That's it. All right. And then from there, of course, we move down to the knees. So, yep, kind of bend your knees, put your hands on the knees, and then work those circles in.
Knees like over the toes as
Yep.
far as you can really helps with the ankle mobility as well. Right, you kind of look for a burn in your quads.
Yep, that's definitely what I'm looking for. Yeah. Burn the quads. Make sure, pay attention to your knees. Try and rotate those as much as possible. Just get some movement in there.
If you have knee pains, you should probably do these regularly.
And it can even help just to kind of go back and forth, stand up and down to just flex them as well too. Just movement of all angles. Alright. And from there, we're down to the ankles. Just do some ankle rotations. You can do it with the foot planted. Back the other direction.
Throughout all this, don't forget to breathe.
Yep. Yeah, breathe the whole time. Relax, breathe. Now you can even do the rotations with your foot in the air as well too. Kind of, for me, it works things a little differently and I have to focus and think about it more to actually get that rotation in there.
Hey, I like your shoes, man.
Hey, thanks. I like your stuff. And then, of course, if you're barefoot, you can do your toes as well too. But neither one of us are there today. You can do it with shoes on. It's not the same. Cool. Now that we've rotated everything, it's kind of nice to go back through, just get a little bit of a stretch in those things. I like to kind of start back up at the top with the quads. Just grab that shin, try and pull my knee, quad, everything up to my chest. nice big deep breaths as you're doing these things. Try and sink into the stretch. Perfect. And then from there, stretch it back the other direction as well too. And I'm always trying to get my foot to my butt as I'm doing this thing. And really just stretch everything out in here.
If you need to balance against something, go for it. If you have trouble just lifting your foot up in general, you can take your foot, put it on something, and then just press that hip out in front and try to sink back. I like this one a lot. I have many variations.
Of course, make sure you're doing both sides as well. Another one of my favorite standing leg stretches. I don't really know if I don't have a name for it, but essentially you'll take one leg, kind of stick it out in front of you straight, flex your toe, you bend the other leg, and then you just reach forward, grab that foot. Oh, stretch everything out. You're trying to get to the head of your leg, of course. No big deal if you can't. Oh, stretches a lot of stuff back here with the glutes. Through the quad, you can feel it
Right behind the knee.
Yep, behind the knee, the calf. So you can do it with the leg out in front of you. You can also take it off to the side as well too. And that'll stretch a few different things also.
The stretch hurts, stick with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Means you need more.
Of course, make sure you do both sides. Stay balanced out. Take it out to the side too. Really feeling the calf. Shake it out.
That one in particular.
Good? Yeah, that's one of my favorites. Alright, so now after I go through and kind of get everything a little loose and warmed up, I like to start with some low impact jumps, just some hops back and forth on both feet, one leg, maybe a few 360s, side to side, things like that. So we'll kind of run through that a little bit. It's always nice just to start off with the simplest thing. Both feet together, kind of pick a line on the ground, and then just jump over the line and then just jump back. Try and be explosive.
We have little lines of nails here we're using.
And it doesn't have to be, specific and perfectly measured out. As long as you're kind of moving back and forth, you're putting a little bit of impact on your feet, you're using those feet, you're getting ready for the more serious training that happens a little later. So after you get about 10 of those in, I like to turn sideways, and then kind of the same thing. Jump back and forth over that line. Get about 10 of those in as well too.
All right.
Perfect. Cool. So from there, it's nice to do something a little more explosive. You got that heart beating a little bit. So I like to just do some standing tuck jumps. So get about 10 of those in as well too. Kind of a
tiring.
Yep, recurring thing. Take a little bit of a breather. And then, so after that, a little bit less intensity, but makes you think a little more. I like to do 360s as well too, just to kind of help with air awareness, but also to push off and practice kind of spinning in those directions.
You go one way and then the
So,
other?
yep, exactly. So I'll twist one way, land, go back the other way. With these, there's no line hopping or anything like that involved. Just standing, go straight up, do that 360, try to land facing back the direction I started. If you can't get the full 360, that's totally fine. You can get that 180 and just go back. You can get the 270. Just work on trying to spin a little bit, okay? But make sure you're working both sides.
Oh, I need to practice this one.
I can do them straight up and down, but when it comes to actually doing them with some precision and a jump, it's a little more difficult for me.
Perfect, thanks. Now I know something I need to add.
To work on. Yeah, recently I got some precision trainers and I was trying to 360 to those things and I realized how bad my 360s were when it came to freeze. I was landing over here and over there, never right where I needed to be. Cool. After those jumps, it's nice to do a little bit of running in place too with some high extended knees. Also get some butt kicks in as well too. But we'll run through the high knees first. So a lot of this, we're really just kind of try and use as much of our body as we can as we do things, just to get ready for what we may do when we're out training.
That's why we loosen up those shoulders and chest too.
All right, get those butt kicks in as well too. All right. And the final thing I kind of like to get in, it's not as high as intensity, it's more of a stretch, but you still kind of get some of that active movement in. It's these high kicks that I like to do, where you kind of walk, kick the right foot up, tap it to your left hand. You're basically taking steps, switch over to the other side, try and get as high as you can. I try and point my toes too, just really fully get through, stretch, extend that body. You can try and do it walking backwards. It's a lot more difficult that way. It doesn't feel as natural. Yeah, feeling good? I'm breathing hard.
Yeah.
My heart's beating. All right, so now, since we've gone through those light warm-up hops, I like to finish it off with some more active movements that kind of go down and back on a path that, once again, are gonna work that entire body as well. Kind of a little bit of conditioning, a little bit of flexibility, all these things thrown in. Typically, I like to start with what I call the piked bear crawl. I try and keep my legs straight as I'm doing this, bend over at the waist, get on the hands, set a distance, and then just walk all the way down on that distance. I try and stay on my toes and my fingers if I have the strength to do it. Once I reach that line, we just go backwards. Doing good? Cool. So after that, I like to kind of move on and continue with that flexibility, almost in a similar position, but we're lower. It's more of a quadrupedal, like Spider-Man type movement, basically. You're staying low, you're crawling on the ground. I've heard these called lizard crawls. Yeah, that is definitely a good name for them. But same thing, I'm trying to work like all the way through, stretch this leg out, get a full stretch in here. Once you reach that line, same thing, just go backwards with it. Nice. All right, cool. So next on my list, these are a little bit tougher. I don't really have a name for those either, like most things. It's just something I do. But what you do, you'll start in a push-up position. You are kind of going to get a good pop. Bring your feet up to your hands. You really want to push all the way through those toes as you're jumping. That'll help give you that lift to help bring your feet up towards those hands. A lot of it is going to be in that waist, the core as well too. You pull and tighten everything up.
Do you walk down into it or
hop
down?
Yep, I hop down into it. If you do need to walk down into it, of course, do that. And then you just repeat. Really try and explode as you're doing these things. once you make it to the line, the much more difficult part, in my opinion.
You kind of have to pull from your lower abs when you come up.
Yep, it's a lot like you're trying to do leg raises, just like that, V-ups. All right, so now we go back. It's the opposite of that. You place the hands down, you push, you kick back, and then you get a really good push with the hands, and a lot of that, big core. Big core as you pull that up. And then repeat it. It helps to get a good push all the way back.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's a lot of power. Do you bend your knees at all?
I try not to. It's a lot of it is just like really in the toes as you're pulling up, trying to like
You try one more.
dig in and hold it. Push. There you go. There you go. Yep.
Kind of.
It's tough. You get a little bit of a slide as you come up out here.
Oh, let me try that.
Yep. But really, like, try and bring your chest. Yep, right there. There you go.
Okay, I
Perfect.
felt it that time.
Perfect. Very good. Cool. How you feeling? Feeling good? Feeling
Yeah.
fun?
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Going backwards is way harder than going forwards. All right, so from there, I like to continue on with that explosiveness. You get back in that push-up position. You're basically just gonna do short pops all the way down, all the way back. Same thing though, you get a good little bit of an explosion. You're not going to full push-up. You're really just kind of hopping off your hands and wrists, off those toes. And the difficult part is going back again. That always kills my arms.
My arms are dead.
Yep. Come on. Come on. Push it. Yeah.
Woo. Thanks, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's a good one. Woo. All right.
That was challenging.
Yeah. It's a good one. And like once you get the hang of it, once you get used to it, it's a nice workout because it's, it uses everything. It uses those core. You really feel it back here in your triceps.
All the way to the ankles and tippy toes.
All of it. Yep. So after all that more strenuous activity, two final things that I kind of like to do just because they're different. They're going to work some different muscles and things like that. The first one we've all probably done since we were kids is your typical crab walk. So you just get down, you reach behind you, feet in front of you, and then you just move this way. I try and do it as fast as I can.
The kids race these at the gym.
And then backwards as well too. And then we're gonna stay in this position, but turn sideways. And then we'll go sideways.
Like actual crabs.
Because that's not something we
Go this way.
typically work. Yeah, there you go. And that's a fun one too. You can 360 walks.
360 crab walks.
This kind of works everything.
A little dizzy crab.
Woo! All right. One final thing. This one is definitely a weird one. I've heard it called lizard climbs the wall. What you're gonna do, you're gonna lay down on your back. You bend your arms. You lift yourself up with the back of your arms, your elbows, and you're essentially gonna crawl like that, using your shoulders and your elbows. Try not to use your feet to move yourself. Typically, I'll shorten the distance because it's a strange one. Make it about halfway, and then you just repeat and take it back. When you're going this way though, it's a little bit harder not to use your feet, so you can just use them to help yourself along.
Shouldn't have worn a white shirt.
Yeah.
On the back at least.
Woo! And that's it. How you doing, Liz?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good, good. Perfect. So
How's my back?
You got a little bit, just on the sides here. Not too bad. Whew. So that's kind of part of a typical warm-up that I'll go through before I go out and train parkour. Now during that, there are a lot of different exercises that I do that I don't do every single day. I'll kind of pick and choose. The key really is to kind of try and vary it up. You don't want to just get set in a routine. You don't want to get set in stone. Switch it up. It'll just make you better overall. Let's see it. I think you do it.
Woo!
There you go. Nice. Heck yeah.
So now that we've kind of gone through your physical process of what you're doing, what's your mental process going into training? Like when you're just kind of warming up and thinking about what you want to accomplish when you're out there?
It really just depends on like the day and kind of where I'm at. Like some days I go out and I don't have any intention in mind. I just want to get outside. I want to train. I want to move. But there are other days though that I may have seen somebody do something cool on Instagram that I want to go out and try and specifically find a spot so I can try that movement or at least some variation of that movement that fits my style more. It really just, it kind of depends. Just depends on the day, how I'm feeling. You know, also like I may get in a mood where I'm feeling like I want to get strong and I'm actually trying to progress, so I'll go out and drill a technique over and over, do 100 kongs or, you know, anything like that. I may want to climb a tree that day. So it always just kind of varies.
I like that. So Eric, growing up, when you were first learning, did you have anyone that inspired you or motivated you to start movement?
Not really specifically. I've always kind of been an active kid. I was really lucky growing up that my parents kind of put me in tons of different sports to try things out. You know, I played football, I did soccer, I did baseball, martial arts, I was a gymnast, a diver, I did yelling and things like that as well. So from the get-go, before I even really knew or focused in on parkour and movement, I was always just kind of doing my thing. But when I actually started, training parkour, a lot of that time was just spent on my own. So I really just developed my own style from that. Of course, though, I would see YouTube videos once that became a thing, and Instagram, and people from back in 2006, 2007 era. They didn't entirely influence my movement to a degree that I would try and copy and do that style, but definitely some of their movements. Of course, Daniel Ilibaka, some of the things that Phil Doyle was doing, Shades Lot.
And these guys are also parkour practitioners?
Yep, they are. They're all parkour practitioners, or at least they were at the time. Like a lot of people, they to move on and grow from there.
Which actually brings me to my next question. You were mentioning athletics and stuff as a kid. Were you considered athletically gifted when you were growing up, or just an average ability?
Yeah, I think I was always kind of athletically gifted and aware of my body. That's typically the way I find I best interact with the world is through the body and through movement and things like that. So I've always kind of been good at it and been aware of it. But it could be when I was really young, I was in martial arts, like I was saying. I got put into gymnastics when I was in 3rd grade. So it's, as long as I've kind of been aware of myself and my body, I've always just been good and been capable that way.
Yeah. That mental, physical connection it definitely shows in your movement. It's something not everyone just has.
No.
What's your favorite parkour move?
So I don't know if I have a specific parkour move, but I like doing really technical, precise things. There's a move called what is it? Hold on, I'm gonna think of the name now. Man,
I'll post a video of it if you have one.
Yeah, no, I definitely have one. Some of the guys from Dusseldorf, I feel like they're the ones that first kind of brought it out and brought it to light. I think they call it an alley-op, but basically you find a rail set that has a top rail, it's got a middle rail. You jump to the middle rail. As you hit that, you jump up and over the top rail and then land back on the middle rail on the other side.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's really weird. It's technical, like, so you know, things like that are awkward, that take very, like, you know, lots of precision.
That reminds me of when you did the precision on the chain. It's actually right over there.
Yeah, it's right over there. So, you know, a lot of those things, like, once you get a pretty good, like, skill level, you can work on some of those technical things, and then it just makes you even better overall.
Anytime we say precision, by the way, that means precision jump, which is jumping to landing onto some sort of surface you either got to balance on, or just like ledges, or things like that, things that can mark like you are now on this object.
Exactly, just, you know, some sort of precise landing. You're trying to stick the landing, essentially. Yep.
Next question, what's the scariest move you've ever done, and do you have it on video?
No, I don't have it on video. Well, somebody recorded it, and like what happens many times, somebody will record this thing, they say they're gonna get it to you, and it just never happens. That's just the way of the world sometimes. But I was out training with some guys.
We're gonna have to bug them.
Yeah, I gotta find him, because man, it's been years, you know, back when I was a lot more adventurous and wild and risk-taking, but I was out with a couple guys, and we were out training. We came across this big swing set, and we had climbed on top of it. And myself and another guy, we did a running gainer off of it. You run down to the length of the perpendicular pole with you, and then you do a gainer off of it, which is a backflip while you're moving forward. Yeah, pretty scary. I definitely don't feel like I could ever go back, at least not today, and repeat that again, because, you know, it was at least like 10 plus feet up, super narrow rail, like, yeah, it was just one of those days where you just like feel it, you're on, you're in the zone, and it sometimes helps to have other people around try and advance things as well too.
And last question for you, Eric.
Yeah.
For the first time, and totally not take 17.
It's not our fault.
So, what would you recommend? What would you tell someone who wants to make a change, improve themselves, or get into movement for the first time? What's some advice you would give?
Yeah, so I think, you know, these days it's very important to just use all the information you have available to you. YouTube is an extremely valuable source.
Speaking of YouTube, Eric's channel is going to be linked down in the description.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, YouTube, it's an extremely valuable source when you're trying to learn anything, not just parkour or movement. Typically, there are going to be so many different people out there that have either, you know, started the journey that you may be starting, or they're already in it. So you can, you know, watch one video, see if their techniques, their advice works for you, and, you know, even if it does or doesn't, it's always a good idea to watch somebody else as well, and you can absorb those techniques, kind of make them fit your thing, and go from there. Because a lot of the times when you're starting out, more advanced people may just tell you, you know, if it's in person, you just get out and move. But if you haven't done it before, you don't know what to do. So it can definitely help to just watch video, you know, get all that information.
Okay.
Absorb it.
Starting small too, right?
Definitely, yeah. You know, you don't have to, when it comes to parkour, just get out and do big jumps and roof gaps and, you know, try and backflip off everything. It's okay to just be walking down the sidewalk and jump from one crack to the other, or just, you know, slowly find your own way to get over the wall that's most efficient to you.
I liked early on to practice landing quietly, jumping down from steps, like one step, then two, then
just
three.
Work your way up to it,
and just learning how to take those impacts for when it really counted, because without that first practice and taste of it, like, you could really mess yourself up.
Definitely, yeah, and that's such a good progression, because you have time, like, you can spend as much time as you want. Just
no one's
jumping up the
rushing you.
first step. Yep, exactly. Take your time. It's certainly not a race. Just get out there and enjoy what you're doing, and just try things. That's the best way to improve.
One more time, check out Eric's channel. It's down in the description. Find out why I say he has a PhD in movement. Lastly, move consistently, move creatively, take care of yourselves, master your mindset. All right, have a nice day, everyone. Thank you so much, Eric.
Yep, thank you for having me.
Bye.